Alright guys, we've all Russell here, and today I'm here with a special video. Hopefully part of a new series that I'm hoping to upload episodes of fairly regularly. It's an idea that I'm relatively passionate about, and I'd like to kind of fill my channel with a bit more content and maybe a bit more regular content outside of just the Platinum Trophy Pops, which obviously happen on my way up to 100, which I nearly am at. And then I'll hopefully do like a video when I get to 100 about the journey from 50 to 100. But I'd like to kind of give the channel a bit more content, and this sort of series idea that I've had for quite a while, and I want it to be called Pay-Per-View Flashbacks. Basically, I'm going to be looking at pay-per-views from my life as a wrestling fan that I hold very fond memories of, or that I know something about the pay-per-view, and maybe I've not seen all these pay-per-views fully, but there are parts of the pay-per-view that I obviously hold very fond memories of great matches, great moments, title wins, very bad things, maybe. But most of them will be fond memories. And I wanted to start this series, Pay-Per-View Flashbacks, Episode 1, with one of the most important pay-per-views to me as a wrestling fan. And it's because it has my favourite match of all time on. And today I'm going to be reviewing Wrestlemania 20, a pay-per-view that I've actually never seen the whole way through. I've seen a lot of the show. I've seen the world title matches. I've seen a lot of it. But there are bits of it I've never seen. So this was like a nice, going through this, was like a nice new thing for me to sort of critique. And so I guess we should get into it. Pay-Per-View Flashbacks Episode 1, WrestleMania 20. WrestleMania XX. This took place in 2004 and took place from Madison Square Garden in New York. It was, of course, the 20th, not the 20th anniversary, but the 20th WrestleMania, where it all began again. I'm going to be mostly just reviewing the matches on the card. There are a lot of backstage segments and stuff, and if there's maybe promo segments outside, like in the ring, then I'll maybe talk about those, but backstage stuff I think I'll tend to skip past because there's so much of it in between matches. So the show opened with America the Beautiful being sung by a choir. I cannot remember their name, but it was a decent rendition. And then the show opened officially with John Cena getting unanimously cheered. Weird seeing it. Today in 2025, we're on John Cena's final year before he retires, and I assume he'll get pretty much unanimously cheered. He's scheduled for the Royal Rumble at the end of the month, and I cannot see a reason why he would be booed, especially now we know it's kind of like his last gunslinging run. But John Cena, unanimously cheered, comes out and faces the United States champion, The Big Show, for the United States Championship. A match I'd never seen before, and a matchup that I was pleasantly surprised by. The crowd were into this, which is important in an opener. They usually are into any opener on any card, but they were really into this, really behind Cena. This was a pretty basic match. In fact, it's probably about as basic as the Austin Theory match with Cena. But I had so much higher expectations for that, which is why I was so sort of down on it. This match was not boring. It was Big Show destroying Cena, using his weight and his power advantage, and just chopping Cena down with the back sort of clubs and the corner like tackles or whatever you call them. But eventually, what happened was he went for one of those, and I think Cena got a boot up, and he lifted Big Show on his shoulders, hit the FU because that's what it was called back then, and Big Show kicked out. And that was kind of a cool moment. The crowd didn't really expect it. So John Cena went and got his chain from the corner. And he said to the referee, "I'm going to hit him with it." And the referee said, "No, don't do it." And so he said, "Okay." And he took the chain off his knuckles, threw it away, picked up one of his brass knuckles, punched Big Show, hit him with a second FU, and pinned him 1, 2, 3 to win the United States Championship. I thought the finish was kind of silly. I do like the idea that he hit him with a finish. It didn't work. He just tried to hit him with another finish, and it did work. But the idea that I like baby faces sometimes cheating. I think it shows they're desperate to win. I'll talk about that later on in the show. But it was a little bit silly for him to just like go, oh, I can't use the chain, I'll just use the brass knucks. But that aside, I'm going to give the match 2 3/4 stars. I thought it was a decent opener, much better than it had any right to be. Big Show was okay in the match, and he's a good hand at this point. And this match was much better than it had any right to be. John Cena is super green at this point. And he's going to have a lot of US title matches in the year of 2004 with Booker T and Carlito and Jesus. But I don't know if a lot of them are going to be quite as good as this one. So 2 3/4 stars. Maybe I was just kind of happy to see a match I've never seen before. Weird that I've never seen this before. Second match on the show, and it was the first of 2 Fatal 4-Way Sudden Death Tag Team Championship matches, as Rob Van Dam and Booker T, who have, in fact, the worst theme song mashup. It's dreadful. They defended the World Tag Team Championships against Mark Jindrak and Garrison Cade. Rest in peace to Lance Cade. Against La Resistance, which was Robert Conway and Rene Dupree, the youngest champion in history until Tyler Bate, I believe. And lastly, the Dudley Boys. I thought this match was pretty rubbish. There wasn't a lot in it. The Dudley Boys did their Dudley stuff. La Resistance didn't really do anything. Jindrak and Cade didn't do anything. It was basically just Booker T and RVD in the ring. Booker T was in the ring for a lot of the match. And it was just a 14 match. It just was not very good. I'm probably going to put my rating down realistically now I'm thinking about it. But in the end, Booker T hit Robert Conway with a axe kick. RVD hit him with a 5-star frog splash. They pinned Robert Conway and retained the World Tag Team Championships. It was just to get a bunch of bodies on the show. I don't really know if Mark Jindrak, Garrison Cade, La Resistance, the Dudleys, or even RVD and Booker T really needed to be on the show. But it was on the show, and it was nothing. It was 8 minutes. I can't really remember a lot. It was a couple of days ago, so I've had to spread watching WrestleMania 20 out across about 2 or 3 days. So I've just finished it today. But yeah, this was nothing. 1.5 stars. I'm actually going to put my rating down slightly. I didn't think this was very good at all, really. Just clustery and stuff was just not a big fan. Third match on the show, a match I was a fan of. Christian against Chris Jericho. I've seen this match before. I think this is quite a good little story for Christian and Jericho. Probably one of Christian's biggest matches pre-return, TNA run. It's a WrestleMania match. It's a singles match. It's against the former world champion and Chris Jericho. And these guys had a really good match. It was a little bit rough at the beginning, and then Chris Jericho back body dropped Christian to the outside, and then Christian gave him a receipt where he back suplexed into the outside, and Chris Jericho did a double underhook suplex off the top rope. Christian hit his reverse DDT and a reverse DDT backbreaker, which was kind of cool. Jericho went for the line salt, but I think Christian got the knees up. And Chris Jericho kept going for the walls, but couldn't quite lock it in properly. There was no they actually did very well not to use any finishers. There was no Unprettier, or the Kill Switch, or the Unprettier or whatever. There was no Tornado DDT from Christian or anything like that. But they did. They had a very, very sort of safe wrestling match that was very, very technically good. Towards the finish, if you don't know what the story of this match is, it was basically that Trish, she is involved in the finish. Christian and Chris Jericho made a bet back in December of the year before, which was $1 Canadian that either of them could sleep with Lita and Trish Stratus, And what happened was Chris Jericho eventually grew feelings for Trish Stratus, and Christian didn't like this. He thought it was getting him in between the team, and so they had a match booked. Eric Bischoff booked him in a match against Trish, and he said he would lay down for her, but he laid down for her, and she pinned him 1-2, and he kicked out the little twat. So he beat her up, and he beat her with the walls of Jericho, and so Chris Jericho was absolutely livid, and that's what led to the matchup. And so the finish came when Trish came down to the ring in high heels. I don't know how she ran down the ramp in those heels. And Christian sees her, pulls her in the ring, he's got her by the hair, he's going to do something. He throws her down, and Jericho catches him with like a step-up enziguri. And Jericho goes over to Trish, but she accidentally elbows him in the face. Christian comes back in the ring, schoolboys Jericho with the tights. 1, 2, 3. Christian beats Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 20. Probably one of Christian's biggest career wins at that point. Super big win over a world champion. Christian, and then you sort of get like oh no, Chris Jericho's lost. And he goes over to Trish, and you know, Trish is like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And Jericho's like, I get it, it's okay. And then she slaps him, and she slaps him again. And then he turns around and gets an unprettier from Christian. And Christian and Trish Stratus go up the ramp together, and they kiss at the top of the ramp. This was basically like the Mandy Rose Otis Dolph Ziggler story without the happy ending of that story. Like part of me kind of thinks this should have had a happy ending. I was watching wrestling in 2004, but not quite at this point. I was watching it just later in the year. So like this wouldn't have affected me, and this wouldn't have been what I was thinking when I was 6. But I would have had Jericho just win at Mania, because then like you get your happy ending, you get your couple together, and yeah, this prolonged the feud for a couple of months, and it gave Christian a big win, which is nice. But it prolonged the feud for kind of nothing. I believe at Backlash the next month, Chris Jericho beat them in a handicap match, and then I think he beat Christian Tyson Tomko or Trish Stratus or some sort of those three in like a couple of matches over the next like months to what was the next pay-per-view? I think it was Bad Blood, the pay-per-view after, where he beat Tomko or Jericho or Trish or something. But yeah, it prolonged the feud for no reason, and it turned Trish heel for no reason. And you know, it also kind of didn't make sense that Trish had let Christian put her in the walls of Jericho and clothesline her, stuff like that. It is a bit silly, but it was a good match. It was a good match. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. It was a very good match. It was really well wrestled, and it was a big moment for Christian. Big moment for Christian at WrestleMania. Not quite as good as some of Chris Jericho's other matches at WrestleMania, like the one before HBK, but still very good. 3.5 stars. Best match on the show so far, easily. 4th match on the show. This one's one of those matches that I have seen before as well. But it's just one of those like matches you almost forget exists sometimes. Evolution. So Randy Orton, the Intercontinental Champion, Batista, and Ric Flair taking on the Rock and Sock Connection. Orton earlier in the show, literally after the first match, did a promo backstage, which was one of probably the best promos of his career. Like, he just is telling the story of how this rivalry with Mick Foley began and what he did to Mick Foley and how he embarrassed Mick Foley. And it's a brilliant promo. And if you've never seen anything about this feud, then you'd watch that promo and you'd be like, I understand why these two bad guys are fighting. But this match, like Evolution and Rock and Sock, maybe the best handicap match in WWE history. Like, it's maybe a bit unfair saying it's a handicap match, but it is. It's a 3-on-2 match. But it's so good. Like, it's a great match. It is action. It's the crowd are so into everything. It's basically just who can we pair up? Can we pair The Rock with Ric Flair, and The Rock gives him just this insane back body drop on the outside? Can we pair The Rock with Randy Orton? Crazy stuff. The Rock with Mick Foley. The Batista with The Rock, you know, there's 2 movie stars. all these sort of pairings that go off, and it all looks great. And The Rock at this point is really slim. He's nowhere near sort of the bulky kind of guy he is now, and he maybe looks better for it. Like, he maybe looks more like a wrestler. Mick Foley also holds up his end as a bargain in this matchup. He does an elbow on the floor to Mick Foley on the outside. He goes for a double arm DDT at a couple of points. Batista hits a Batista bomb on The Rock at one point, which The Rock kicks out of. He locks in the sharpshooter on Ric Flair. There's just loads of really, really great moments in this matchup. It's a very tense match, and also a very, I know the finish, and I know sort of what comes after this, but it's a very tense and sort of high drama match. And in the end, it is left down to kind of the two crutches of the feud, Randy Orton and Mick Foley. And Mick Foley pulls Socko out. He's going to go for the Mandible Claw, and Orton hits him with an RKO out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, and Randy Orton and Evolution beat the Rock and Sock Connection. It's a great match. It's probably 3 3/4 stars. I really, really like it. As I said, probably one of the best handicap matches in sort of WWE's history. I can't think of any better. So yeah, lost my train of thought. Alright guys, we had a couple of hiccups. As you can see, I'm in a different room now. We had a couple of hiccups. With the dog being a silly, silly dog. So I've come downstairs to finish this review off because my fiance and the dog have gone to bed. So this is going to be sort of the second part. I'll just edit this in at the end of the conversation I was doing earlier. So I believe I was on the fourth match, the Evolution match, 3 3/4 stars. I would have given to that match. I thought it was really, really good. Probably the best match on the show so far. Fifth match on the show. I'm not going to be speaking too much on this because I don't really want to be talking about these sort of matches when I do these reviews. I understand that titillation was important to the WWE 2 decades ago, but it is important to me. It is not important to me with my wrestling. So the fifth match on the show was the Playboy evening gown match as Sable and Tori Wilson took on Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler. Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler were from Raw, and Tori and Sable were from SmackDown. Basically, Sable and Tori took their gowns off. Sable took her gown off, and then the SmackDown girls then stripped Miss Jackie because she didn't want to take her gown off. This match is going to get a dud. Just straight up, just going to get a dud. None of the women know how to wrestle, which isn't technically their fault. But I'm going to give it a dud more based on like what it is. You would not get away with this match today, and I don't want it to be. I don't want that. This stuff, crowd ate it up. Fair enough. They're always going to eat up that sort of stuff. 90% of the audience is men. But I'm going to give it a dud in the end. Although Tori did do some good stuff, she did a cartwheel and she did a sunset flip and a crossbody and stuff. I'm going to give it a dud. In the end, Tori won the roll-up on Miss Jackie, and that was it. That was garbage. Dud. Easily the worst thing on the show. Sixth match on the show, the Cruiserweight Invitational. I don't want to go through all of the eliminations. So don't think it was that interesting. I thought Ultimo Dragon, when he was in there at the beginning with Shannon Moore, Ultimo Dragon's only WrestleMania appearance ever, and it was just about 2 minutes, maybe. He hit his Ultimo Dragon sort of reverse DDT sliced bread thing and pinned Shannon Moore, and then he got pinned pretty very quickly by Jamie Noble. And then Jamie Noble pinned Funaki, and he beat Nunzio by countout, and then he finally got eliminated by Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman did a shooting star press, and we all know that Billy Kidman's shooting star presses don't look great, but he did one onto the outside, and it looked like he collided heads with Nunzio as he did. That looked like it sucked. And then Kidman hit a BK bomb off the top rope on someone. Oh, who did he do it to? It must have been Jamie Noble, maybe. Eventually, Billy Kidman was eliminated by Tajiri. Tajiri was rolled up by Rey Mysterio. Oh no. Yeah, Tajiri was rolled up by Rey Mysterio after Tajiri misted Akio on the outside, which meant that he forfeited as well. And then finally it came down to Rey and Chavo. They did less than 2 minutes, maybe. And then Chavo pinned him with a jackknife cover, and Chavo Classic on the outside was holding Chavo's hands to help. Ray gave Chavo Classic a dive to the outside, like a senton to the outside, which was cool. But outside of that, cruiserweight titles on Mania, man, they just never really got any. Even the newer cruiserweight title, the purple one, never really got enough sort of stock in it. And this is like a 9-10 minute match with 10 people in it. Like, what chance did they have, realistically? I'm going to give it 2.5 stars because it wasn't technically wrestled badly, but it's not good, really. There just wasn't enough time for it to be anything. Rey Mysterio was dressed as the Flash, though, which was cool. Then we're going to move into perhaps the most infamous match in WrestleMania history. You've already seen I've got one dud on this show in the Playboy Evening Gown match. And this one, oh boy, I don't do minus stars. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't spoil. I shouldn't spoil it. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. This is considered one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. Cool story. I have never seen it until this time watching WrestleMania 20, and it is really bad. It's so bad. So the feud was okay. It made no sense that Brock Lesnar didn't want to go back after his WWE Championship, though. That was pretty silly. Um, but the match. So they come out. It's probably about a 13-minute match. 13 minutes 41. Yeah. So it's quite a, it's not a, it's 15-minute nearly match. First 2 minutes, they're just staring at each other. Like, they're just staring at each other and walking around. Part of me thinks it's so bad it's actually kind of funny. But actually watching it, I was verbally saying this is so bad. These two men do not give one single iota of a damn about this. They're both out the door. The fans. So again, the debate is that maybe if you turn the fans off, you can actually kind of get something out of this match. Absolutely not. Like the fans kind of make it in a lot of ways, but they did not want this match to happen. And you could have very easily paired when you found out that Goldberg was leaving. I know that Lesnar leaving was a lot later, very close to Mania, I believe, like a week before maybe. I know that when Goldberg was leaving, you could have maybe paired them off with someone else and just have both of them lose or whatever. Realistically, the better idea would have been maybe to have Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar and maybe Goldberg face someone else. I don't know who. It'd have to have been a Raw superstar. Um, well, it wouldn't have had to been a Raw superstar actually. It could have been anyone. Just like this was interpromotional. But anyway, I digress. So the first 2 minutes, they're just staring at each other, and it's nothing. And even Austin and JR. Austin's the guest referee. So sorry, I forgot to say that. Let's have a quick drink. Hoping there's no more difficulties now. I have learned a couple of things about editing on the laptop, so that's why I'm doing this in two parts, which I've never done before. Um, so Austin and JR and King all knew this was trash. Like they knew this was trash. So 2 minutes they're staring at each other. Couple more minutes, and they're doing power struggles, like tests of strength, and they're not even doing like the push each other back thing. They're just in a test of strength, and it is so bad. And eventually they start doing shoulder like checks, but none of them are going down. And we're probably like halfway through this match at this point. And then finally, Goldberg hits the military press spinebuster, and he goes for the spear, and he gets leapfrogged, and Brock does a couple of things. And then finally, towards the end, Goldberg hits a spear, He hits a spear and Lesnar kicks out. He gets in Austin's face. Brock hits him with an F5. Goldberg kicks out. Brock gets in Austin's face. Goldberg hits him with a spear. Hits him with a jackhammer. 1, 2, 3. Who would have imagined that in 2017 these two men would have a WrestleMania match that was a quarter of the time nearly, and it was vastly superior. Like, this is one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time. I can absolutely say that. In fact, I'd actually argue it's one of WWE's very worst matches because of what it is. It is a big marquee match with two marquee stars and two, guys who can give you a good match. Goldberg, wasn't great with these title matches, but he's in there with Lesnar, and we've seen great matches between Brock and Lesnar now. Brock and Goldberg, sorry. And this was a big deal match, and it was absolutely dreadful. A dud. I don't think I've ever had a pay-per-view that I've given 2 duds to. And I think that's one of the things that was most interesting about looking back on some of these old pay-per-views, hopefully. I see a couple of matches I've never seen before. I reevaluate things. I thought this show was relatively good before I watched it, and now I've watched it, and I'll tell you what I think of it at the end. But yeah, a dud. A dud. Really, really bad. Bad stuff. If you've never seen Goldberg and Brock at Mania 20, kind of recommend it because it's incredible in all the wrong ways. Incredible in all the wrong ways. The lowest of low, seriously. Next match on the show was the second of our 2 Fatal 4-Way Sudden Death Tag Team title matches, and this one was for the WWE Tag Team Championship, as Too Cold, which was Scotty Tahati and Rikishi, defended against the Basham brothers, the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw. Bradshaw with his JBL haircut. We're only about a couple months away from actually winning the WWE title, which is absolutely crazy given where he is here. And the last team was the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. Given the workers in this match were actually probably not as good as the first match, it's very shocking that I think this match was better. In fact, I think it was much better. It just had a better flow to it. Stuff felt like it was happening more. It was probably short. It was shorter. It was 6 minutes. 6 minutes, and I thought this match was okay. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I liked the finish. The finish was JBL giving a clothesline from hell to one of the Basham brothers. I can't tell you which one. And then Rikishi hit him with a Samoan drop, hit JBL with Bradshaw, with the Samoan drop, and then hit the rump shaker, which is the sit down on the Basham, and then pinned him. So Scotty Tahati and Rikishi retain. Funny little anecdote about this match: my fiance never really watches wrestling with me, and she was sat on the couch while I was watching this match, and I said, "Sherelle, look at that guy," and she looked at him and she said, "Oh my God, he's big." And I said, "Yes, Rikishi is a big man." So yeah, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. I thought this was okay. I know that I usually say that 2.5 stars is kind of nothing, but this was better than the other one, which I thought was not good. So, the 9th match on the show. If you thought that Mania's today had a lot of matches, this one's got 12. The 9th match on the show, another women's match. Not a lot of Manias around this time actually had 2 women's matches, so kudos to that, even though one of them was absolutely dreadful. And this was Victoria defending the Women's Championship against Molly Holly. Funny story, I think Brian Zane mentioned when he reviewed WrestleMania 20 on his channel. He said that Molly Holly had to go to Vince and beg to put the Women's Championship on the show, and she even had to offer up her hair to get it on the show, which is unbelievable. 20 years ago, that they had to fight to get the Women's Championship on Mania. And realistically, since this Women's title match, I don't think we've missed a Mania without a women's match. We've certainly missed it without a women's title match, because we had tag team matches and Playboy Lumberjack matches and all that gobbledygook sort of stuff. And the Miss WrestleMania match, which I don't really want to talk about Mania 25, apart from Michael's Taker. But yeah, it's crazy, that story, that they had to fight pretty much just to get the women's title on the show. And these women had like a 5-minute match, but it was like a decent 5-minute match. Like, they tried really hard, and Molly gave her a stiff clothesline on the outside, and Victoria did a couple of things as well, and Molly was mostly in control of this match. Like, it was only 5 minutes long, 4 minutes 53 or something. 4 minutes 52. And obviously, this is a hair versus title match, so they had the big barbershop chair at the top of the ramp, and basically, if Victoria won, then Molly would have to get her head shaved. It's like a relatively good match, good striking, good back and forth. And in the end, Molly got a bit cocky. She went for the Widow's Peak. Victoria hit a backslide and pinned her. And pretty simple match, but it did its job. I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars. It was decent, and it was certainly better than the other woman's match, which I know that match wasn't supposed to be good, but it's what that match means is more why it's a dud. Like, I don't talk about that match anymore. Dreadful stuff. But this one was decent. 2 3/4 stars. Well done to Victoria and Molly, who are actual wrestlers, who are actually trained. And after the matchup, Victoria takes Molly up the ramp, and Molly tries to shave her, but eventually Victoria gets her in the chair, straps her arms, and shaves her. To the point where they are still shaving Molly Holly's head when Kurt Angle is coming out for the next match. 2 3/4 stars, that's it. The 10th match on the show, the WWE Championship match, Kurt Angle versus the champion Eddie Guerrero. This feud and this match I really like. The feud is great. Angle is great. He's not justified, but he has a logical reason for not wanting Eddie to be champion. Eddie is the people's champion. The crowd are so behind Eddie in this. But there is actually a we want Angle, Angle sucks chant as well, just because he's maybe so good. Like, how can you say no to the guy? These are 2 of my favourite wrestlers of all time, and they're in like the top 5 very easily. And they've had a couple of really good matches. This, I think, is the best. This match is sensational. The chain wrestling stuff at the beginning with all the takedown stuff and all the overers and stuff. It happens so quickly that it looks so impressive. Like, Angle's great at it, obviously, but Eddie is really good. And I've not watched this match for probably 10 years. This is obviously one of the matches I've seen before. And I've not seen this for 10 years. And it is so good. The takeover stuff is all great. Angle goes to the outside, and Eddie goes for a flying nothing and damages his ribs on the outside, and that's when Angle starts working him over with an abdominal stretch and things like that. Eddie hits the Three Amigos in the ring, but Angle counters out of one, starts hitting the rolling Germans. Just the transitions in this match are so seamless. And there are a couple of wrestlers today that probably do very similar things, but these 2, they're almost in a league of their own. Like, they're so good. Eddie counters an Angle slam into a DDT at one point, and he goes up top, hits a frog splash for a near fall. One of the only near falls in the match. Angle is obviously going for the ankle lock, and that's technically a near fall. But there's so much to this that you can't even talk about because it just happens. Like the big belly to belly throw by Angle, the belly to belly throw off the top rope. Maybe my favourite spot in the whole match, apart from the finish, is Angle goes. Eddie's on the top rope going for the frog splash. Angle goes up, goes for the belly to belly. Eddie pushes him off once. Angle gets up, goes for it again. Eddie pushes him off again. Angle lands flat back bump. Eddie goes for the frog splash and misses. It's such a good little 5 to 10 seconds of tension because it's like Eddie gets the advantage, Angle's back, Eddie gets the advantage, Angle's back, Eddie goes for frog splash, misses, Angle gets the advantage. It is so good. And in the end, Angle locks in the ankle lock, and Eddie is writhing in pain, and he finally gets Angle. He kicks him out of the ring, and Angle's outside the ring, and Eddie unties the laces on his boot to try and relieve the pressure on his ankle. And as he's doing it, Kurt sees him, and he smells blood, and he gets in the ring. He locks on the ankle lock again, and Eddie kicks off his boot because obviously he's undone the laces. Kicks off his boot. Angle catches his boot, turns around into a small package. Eddie's got his feet on the ropes. 1, 2, 3. It's such a good finish. It is such a unique, never done before finish. This match rules. You can see that I'm smiling, and it's just one of the best WWE title matches at Mania. It's so good. It is crisp. It's beautiful. It's brutal. There's great transitions. There's tension. There's a story to this match. It's grand. It's 4.5 stars. It pretty much nullifies one of the duds in my eyes. Pretty much. That match, because it's 18 minutes long or whatever it is, 21 minutes long. Like, it goes so quick. It goes so quick. I thought it was about 16, 17 minutes. It's so good. It's breathtaking match. It's a wonderful match. I don't know. I don't know if I prefer it to the Brock match and No Way Out, but it is absolutely brilliant. 4.5 stars. It's grand. Eddie retains, goes up the ramp, lies, cheats, and steals his way to a win at WrestleMania over Kurt Angle and retains the WWE Championship. 11th match, penultimate match of the show. Kane versus the returning Undertaker in the Dead Man gimmick. So obviously Kane, back at Survivor Series the year before, had buried the American Badass Undertaker alive, and that left, him the only brother of destruction until all of the stuff happened, like the Rumble, the Gong went, and they kept teasing the Undertaker returning, and it was all leading to this here where Kane believed he'd killed the Undertaker, and of course he did not. Kane came out, and he's one of the cool things about Mania 20 set is the buildings in the background, like the New York skyline. And when Kane comes out, all of the buildings are on fire. It's really cool. It's actually one of the most unique things they did with the set for Mania 20. And then the gong hits, and Kane is just, no, it can't be him, and out come the Druids. And then you hear Paul Bearer go, and down comes Paul Bearer with the urn, and he gestures to the stage, and then the Undertaker's Graveyard Symphony hits, and he strolls down to the ring in just trousers and a tank top and his hat and his coat, and he strolls down to the ring, and Kane is pointing, and his expression, you're dead, you're not real. His expressions, his mannerisms, his dialogue, it's so good. Like, the moment of The Undertaker returning and Kane being petrified of him is 10 out of 10. And they get in the ring and they basically just do some strikes and they do some bits. Undertaker hits a flying clothesline, which Kane sells really cool. Kane hits a choke slam on the Undertaker. Undertaker hits old school. And then in the end, Undertaker hits a choke slam, hits a tombstone pile driver, and pins Kane. It's a pretty sort of nothing match. It's like 7 minutes, maybe? 7 minutes. It's about a 7-minute match, and it's kind of nothing, but it's the moment that you sort of remember. And as a moment, it's like a 4-5 star moment because it's so good. But I'm just going to sort of rate the match and say it's like 2.5 stars, realistically, because they didn't do a lot. And it's not like they had any tension, there was no drama or close or false finishes or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. Realistically, the actual moment is grand though. And then we moved into the main event. Basically, the reason I chose this show. Mania 20 is a special show to me because of the main event. The triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship as Triple H defends against Shawn Michaels against Chris Benoit. I've not talked about a Chris Benoit match on my channel, but if you know me, you know he's my favourite wrestler of all time. He is every sort of thing about his life, personal life aside, to me, he is the greatest wrestler of all time. He is phenomenal. Uh, he's just so good. And this is my favourite match of all time. And I've not watched this match for maybe 8 years, maybe 10 years. I've got it on the Hard Knocks DVD, obviously, the Chris Benoit Hard Knocks DVD. I've obviously got the network. I don't think I've ever watched it on the network because obviously it wasn't very easy to access. And obviously now we watch it on Netflix, which is where I watched this from. Um, but I've not watched this match in a long time. And you watch it and you're like, it holds up. Like, it is such a brilliant triple threat match. It is deemed by many as the greatest triple threat match ever. And I've seen some brilliant triple threat matches. Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus comes to mind. And that match is sensational. I gave that match 5 stars. And that's one of my favourite matches of all time now, by the way. And this match is just phenomenal. The beginning bit where Shawn and Benoit are taking turns beating up Hunter, and then they fight each other. Benoit hits a flying headbutt at one point on Triple H. HBK gets busted open by taking a slingshot into like the ring post after the turnbuckle. Triple H gets busted open at one point, but I never worked out where it is this time I watched it. Like, I don't know, it's just been so long, I just couldn't work out where he got busted open. Benoit locks in a crossface a couple of times, and he locks it in at one point against Shawn Michaels, and Triple H is holding Shawn Michaels' arm up. Like, it's a spot you probably didn't really see before this match. But you see it loads now, but you probably didn't see that before this match, and it's really a creative spot. Triple H hits a pedigree on Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels, that's broken up by Chris Benoit. It's Spymaster, a switching music on Chris Benoit at one point, as Chris Benoit has got the sharpshooter in on Triple H, and that leads to a massive triple down. Absolutely incredible. Chris Benoit is double teamed by the two members of DX at one point who are just sick of him breaking up all their pinfalls, and so they suplex toss him from one announce table through to another announce table, and then that's when Shawn and Triple H fight each other. Shawn hits an elbow drop, a switchy music, and I believe Triple H kicks out, and then Triple H hits a pedigree, and Benoit actually comes back in the ring and breaks up that pin. And then we get to like the final few minutes where it's just about Benoit, Triple H, and HBK doing everything they can to win the world title. And Shawn goes for a switch in music, and Benoit ducks him out of the ring, just like Undertaker did to Shawn at the Royal Rumble in 2007. And so Shawn's out, and then Triple H goes for the pedigree. Benoit counters it into the crossface, locks it in. Triple H fights, nearly passes out, holds on. They roll back to the center of the ring. He holds on, taps out. Benoit wins the World Heavyweight Championship. This match, this is actually one of the first matches I remember watching when I started watching wrestling. Probably one of the reasons I fell in love with Chris Benoit, the wrestler. Benoit wins the World Heavyweight Championship, gets his moment. The crowd really wanted it. The crowd were booing Shawn Michaels, which is weird. Especially when he was like getting big offense in it against Benoit. Not so much when he was getting offense in against Triple H. But Benoit wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Eddie comes out after the match, claps. The two best friends, world champions in WWE, the two small guys who are both 6 foot, hold each other's arms up. Benoit parades around. Obviously, after the cameras go off, Benoit's family and friends do join him in the ring, which is just sucks now because this is a part of WWE's history, one of the greatest matches in WWE's history, and they cannot show it because of his actions. As a match, it's 5 stars. It wasn't really in question. Like, you watch it and you're like, it's just the best triple threat match ever. And Mania main event wise, I think it's probably the best Mania main event of all time. We've had a rehash of this technically with Bryan, Batista, and Orton. So where does it fit in as the best triple threats in WWE history? That one's a grand one. Cena, Rollins, and Brock comes to mind as an absolutely brilliant one, but I do not give that match 5 stars. I give this one 5 stars. People have brought up a match I've actually never seen, which is The Rock, Kurt Angle, and Undertaker at, is it Vengeance 2002? Never seen that match. It is supposed to be grand. But to me, this is the quintessential triple threat. And if you don't want to watch it because Benoit's in it, I completely get that. For me, I do my best to separate the man from the sports entertainer or the wrestler or whatever. And the wrestler on this night was the best in the world. And 5 stars. It is a sensational match. And it basically, to me, sort of undoes the other dud. So when you look at the show, given its entirety, what I've talked about across this long video in these 2 parts, you've got 2 matches that are all-time worst Mania matches to me, really. The Playboy Evening Gown match is so embarrassing, rude, misogynistic, all these things. It's really bad. And there are probably worse Mania women's matches that are more sexist than it, but it's just for the guys, isn't it? And it technically wrestled wise, it isn't a dud, but I think what it is makes me want to give it a dud. And then you've got one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time in Brock and Goldberg. I actually put the Fiend Randy Orton match from Mania 37 up as one of the worst Mania matches of all time as well. I believe I gave that a dud in my review. So when you've got 2 matches like that, you've basically got to look at what can save it. And the 5-star triple threat main event with Benoit winning the world title, and the 4.5 stars Angle and Eddie match, kind of gets rid of another one. So outside of that, you've got the Evolution Rock and Sock match, which I said was great. The 3 3/4 again to that. 3.5 stars to Jericho and Christian. Decent little women's match, 2 3/4 stars. Decent opener US title match, 2 3/4 stars. The 2 4-ways kind of cancel each other out as being okay. And the Cruiserweight Invitational, and I must be forgetting something. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, sorry. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Apparently not. No. So when you look at all that, I think what you've got is, I thought Mania 20 was actually a really good Mania before I'd actually watched it. I think based on the sole fact that I'd watched the freeway, the triple threat main event, and Eddie and well, no, I hadn't. I'd watched the freeway main event before I watched this. Before I watched the whole show, I'd watched the triple threat match main event. I'd watched Eddie and Angle. I'd watched Christian and Jericho. And I think I just accepted. Oh, and I'd seen the Evolution handicap match, and I think I just accepted. Oh, well, that stuff should carry the show. But I had to sit through all of it now, and so I had to watch the dreadful women stuff, the dreadful Playboy Evening Gown match, the dreadful Brock and Goldberg match, the not great 4-way at the beginning, and then the US title match is okay. The women's title match is they're both decent. Put those in the decent section, and then the Undertaker Kane stuff obviously is grand as well. The match was pretty nothing, but it was still grand as a spectacle. So I think overall, I'm going to give the show a 6.5 out of 10. I know that seems very middle of the roady to be like 6.5. I feel like a 6 is too low, given it's got a 5-star match on the show. So 6.5 out of 10. Just above average, probably Mania, based solely on how good those world title matches are. So I guess thanks for watching, guys. This has been Rob Rosselat. Like, comment, subscribe for more. Hopefully, pay-per-view flashbacks. This series I'm going to make. Maybe I should try and refocus the name, but pay-per-view flashback sounds okay. I pretty much know what the next sort of pay-per-views I'm going to try and review and watch are going to be. I'm obviously looking at getting platinum trophies as well, so there are 2 sort of things I need to focus on. But I guess thanks for watching, guys. Fingers crossed this becomes a series, and fingers crossed I can put these 2 parts of the video together and make like a cohesive whole. Like, comment, subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts. Have you seen WrestleMania 20? What do you think is the greatest triple threat match of all time? What do you think to Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle? What do you think to Brock and Goldberg? Is there a match that you believe or I've been told is really bad, but I've never actually seen? For me, I guess that was this one. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. This has been Bro Russell. Fingers crossed to get to see you soon. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.